Mhm.
All right, we are back. We are back like we never left. Welcome back to another episode of the Top of Off Cricket Podcast. I am your host, Kevin Henry. And with me, as usual, I got my brethren them, Sam and Walter. And we talking everything West Indies cricket. Now, big performances in the Ireland series, fellas. Keacy Carty starting to look like he has truly figured it out at the international level in terms of how he goes about his innings. Strike rate is up. Centuries are coming. The consistency is there. In his last 10 matches, he 2 half centuries and 3 centuries. Has Keacy Carty finally figured it out? What say you, Walter?
Yes. He has figured he's finally and all right, let me reverse. Keacy Carty is 28 years old. Unfortunately, he played in the World Cup in 2016. So it's that's 9 years ago. That's how long it takes a West Indian batter to mature. In our forest class, our forest class, our forest class analyst this season, as you rightly say, is not fit for purpose. So yes, he's always showed the talent, but he's finally understand how to construct an innings. I think that having Shea Hope around, and Darren Sammy is creating a culture, and he has put in the work. Keacy Carty is the example of somebody that's put in the work from listening to Darren Sammy, listening to what people, and you could see, and he has finally figured how to score. His next test is in England, starting tomorrow morning. Let's see how it goes with bowlers that are has better skills and can swing the ball.
Back-to-back centuries against Ireland. How do you think that sets him up beginning tomorrow?
Confidence. Like anything in sports, he has confidence, right? He feels like he belongs, and he knows what to do. He just it's another test. He just has to apply those skills, the memory that muscle memory that he has acquired, and yes, he is a confidence. He's riding high right now, right? Unfortunately, cricket it just takes one ball, but he's riding high, right? And I think that he'll do well.
Sammy, I was listening to Darren Sammy, West Indies coach Darren Sammy the other morning, and he spoke of every player having a defined role. And he made mention of the role he assigned to Keacy Carty when he came on board as the West Indies white ball coach, right? Do you think that has helped Keacy Carty, especially over the last year? Sammy came on board 2 years ago. So over the last year, Keacy Carty has upped his consistency. Do you think that has helped him?
You know, I do think every little bit helps. You know, as we say in Guyana, 1-1 dirty builder, right? So every little bit helps. Every little bit of encouragement. Because, you see, when a coach, or in this case, when Coach Darren Sammy says, listen, this is your role. What he's saying there is that, look, I believe in you and I want you to do this. This is your role. You see, you're not just a top order batsman. this is your role. You see? So I do think there's something to be had there. But let me give you an interesting bit of statistics, interesting bit of numbers. If someone comes from Mars and they just go to Cricinfo and they look at what Keacy Carty has done, 2022, 2023, 2024, 2025. His average starting in 2022 was 24.16. It then jumped up to 36.87. And it jumped up to 62.22. At this time, it is 92.66. Now, of course, the year is still fresh, relatively fresh, right? We still got about half of the year left to go, right? But he's on track to have a higher average than he had last year. That's one. And when we look now at his top scores, his top score in 2022 was 43. The next year, 87. The next year, 128. The next year, well, this year, 170. Thus far, who knows? We might see a 200. You never know.
It's a possibility.
I take it it was Ireland. I take it the ground was small. We must not ignore these factors, right? But yeah, so I'm happy with what I'm seeing.
Go ahead,
Kevin, looking at the stats, Keacy Carty has made runs against some of the top teams. So he's made 87 against Sri Lanka in Harare. He has made a 50. He made a 50. Well, just going through in 2024, 50 versus England in Bridgetown, 88 versus Australia in Melbourne in 2024. Right?
That was actually a brilliant innings. I watched that. It was really, really good. It was a good watch.
A 7-1 versus England and Artisong, and then he made his first century against England in Bridgetown, right? And then in Bangladesh he made a 95. He should have gotten 100 then again.
Yeah, he should have.
Right. So really, if we're looking, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. In the last 7 or 8 innings, he could have scored 400s. Season a Ridgeway in a farm.
Yeah.
So this young, so ask the question again, Kevin, please.
Has he finally figured it out?
Yes.
What I liked what Darren Sammy said is Keacy Carty, prior to his Darren Sammy's arrival, he would be in the team, out the team. Batting positions would vary, right? In the batting lineup. And he came in and he said, listen, I want you to bat at 3. You are my number 3 batsman. This is your role. This is what we expect of you. And I thought that alone, the confidence to hear someone say, hey, look, I believe in you. I believe you're good enough to own this role, to own this slot. I believe that in itself has propelled Carty to where he is right now, the amount of runs that he's scoring.
And we know number 3 is a big spot.
It's a big spot. That spot.
All right.
Names like Brian Lara and all them men that have
Viv Richards
and yeah. So what I also think is it takes some of the burden off of Shai Hope. And I don't know if y'all have paid attention to Shai Hope as he goes about his business over the last few months, over the last 6-7 months. He looks a whole lot calmer. Watching him prior to that, Shai Hope would look a bit worried and stressed because it's thinking, who is going to help me today? When it comes to lining up in a West Indies one-day team, who is going to help me today? And I think Keacy Carty has taken some of that burden off of him. And I watched him against England watched him against Bangladesh, because I'm the type of person, I look at things other than the obvious that a lot of people will be looking for. You know, I watch people's body language, how they're going about their day in the field, you know, what they're doing at the crease, all these little things. And Shea Hope looks a lot less worried, you know, when he's out there, whether we're in the field or he's at the crease, he looks a lot less worried. And that bodes well, which brings me to the question. West Indies have missed the last World Cup. They missed the last T20 World Cup. They missed not the last T20 World Cup, the one prior to that, right? Where they actually had to qualify. Last one, they didn't have to qualify because they were hosts.
Yeah.
They missed the last 50 over World Cup. Darren Sammy has at the forefront of his mind qualification, direct qualification, not us going to Zimbabwe and having to navigate that tricky qualification process. And we know West Indian players don't do well when it comes to having to go through a knockout type where every match matters, right? Because we don't start well. But Sammy has 2027 World Cup direct qualification at heart, at the forefront of his mind. What type of role do you see, or how do you see Keacy Carty playing? What role do you see him playing? And who else needs to step up? Sam.
Well, we want to see him continue on the trajectory he has been on, because as I showed just now, this is not simply about what we saw in Ireland, right? We've been seeing improvements all along, going back to the 2022, what have you. So we want to see him keep his average up, right? I don't expect 90 odd, but at least, keep it somewhere around 60.
Yeah.
Right? That's where I want to see him stay going forward. It'll be interesting after the England series to see how he performs. But as Walter said, his confidence is up, and that's important. All right. So once he does that now, he takes the pressure off of the selectors in the sense of, okay, how are we going to deal with, the number 3 as we go into the middle order and what have you, right? How do we deal with that, right? Because who knows? The opening position, number 1, number 2, there might be some questions there. But at least we have that, at least so far, we can say that, look, our number 3 position is secure, barring injuries and what have you. In terms of the next person up, I want to see Shea Hope be more dominant. I want him to be a captain that leads from the front. We know what he can do. And by the way, in the Ireland series, we're talking about Keacy Carty, what have you, but we also got to give Shea Hope some kudos for, doing decent second match, third match, right? Of course, first match, I think he had a good ball, and that was his undoing.
Yeah, he got a gem. Definitely got a gem there.
Yeah. So Keacy Carty, keep doing what he's doing over the last few years or so as he's been developing. Stay the course, and then for the captain to keep it to show to do what we know we can do. That would be my 2 things.
So Walter, there's a familiar name that will be back for England, right? We're looking to see how Keacy Carty fares in England, but there'll be a familiar name that will be back in the squad in England. Do you think this is a last chance saloon for Shimron Hetmyer to cement a spot in the West Indies ODI team? Do you think it's a last chance for him?
Possibly, if he gets a chance to play. Um, when you ask who's next up, he's one of the names that come to mind, right? We know that Keacy Carty. I'll say this about Keacy Carty: he needs to take advantage of good form, take full advantage of that because form we know that it's temporary, right? Form is temporary because the great Virat Kohli lost form, right?
Yeah.
And if Kohli could lose form, right?
Anybody
And
can lose form.
anybody can lose form. And he's the greatest batsman in this generation. Not the greatest batsman ever, people. We're not making that mistake. Greatest
No.
batsman this generation. Anyway. So who I like, who I think Sherman Hettibai needs if he gets a chance to play. Imagine if I were Sherman Hettibai, he should be jealous. Sherman Hettibai was ahead of Keacy Carty. Sherman Hettibai was ahead of everybody. Sherman Hettibai was a generational talent, right? He still is. I'm just being facetious.
Do you think had he stayed the course and and I'm going to be bold and say make better decisions,
I think
right?
if he were multi, he would have been make a better decision.
That had he made better decisions, would he have been the West Indies captain today?
Yes.
10 years on from
Yes. Yes.
the Youth World Cup.
Yes. 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 Sherman
One
Hettibai.
word. One word. Mankad.
Chemo Paul. So
Yeah, he should the team it's not just there's multiple people need to continue stepping up because the team is getting very hard to make because there's a conundrum if when Shepard comes back, there's a conundrum if people like Jason Holder decides he wants to play. So these are things that 2027, what is happening, I see that we're getting a pool of players to pick from. And Sammy's repairing a bridge that was broken by previous, not necessarily coaches, but administration and policies, right? So I'm happy to see this. So it's not just him, it's multiple people, but the person, as you rightly said, a major person is Shamron Hettimaya, and he needs to take advantage of this because he can bat.
I hope they find a way to give him a game or two, right? I hope they find a way to give him a game or two. And even if he has one game, I hope he stamps his authority because there's not a whole lot that he can do right now other than if given a chance, make runs and say, Coach Sammy, it's up to you after now. I did my part, right? Other than that, so we begin this series tomorrow, right? Carty's coming into the series fresh, full of confidence, full of runs. Shea Hope, full of confidence, full of runs. Roston Chase looking good. Justin Graves looking good. Do you think our bowling will be something to worry about when we line up tomorrow?
No, I don't think so. Alzari Joseph, in this format, he has been our best bowler. We can't run away from that. He could be way better because, again, he's another generational talent, right? Alzari, when you look at Alzari Joseph, you know that there is a lot more than he can do. And he can argue that we don't take his catches, right? So, yes, right? And he's the joint fastest to 100, right? Along with Ian Bishop for West Indies, ODIs. So, I don't have a problem. I'm not necessarily, I'm Shamar Joseph, I'm playing Jaden Seals, obviously. Matthew Ford, he just has to keep that line and he can bowl. And I'm not changing the team, guys.
Hmm.
I'm not
You
changing
would
the
change
team.
it. You would make any changes, Sam? At least for the first two matches?
I can't think of when you said change the team, we're talking about the keeping the team from the last ODI in Ireland.
Yeah.
Which means that Shamar Joseph is out.
I know what Kevin why you say. Kevin why we remove Django for Hetimayo.
Listen,
I too have a question mark at Django. I too have a question mark there, but I'm not gonna say we throw in Hetmaya there, right?
Oh,
but here's the thing for in terms of the bowling. What I'm excited about is Jaden Seals.
Brilliant the other morning. Right? Absolutely.
Because, yeah, and remember,
he's familiar with the conditions.
Jaden Seals has been playing county
He's
cricket.
familiar with the conditions. He's familiar with the UK conditions.
There we go.
Mm.
You know, so that's what I'm happy about. Shamar Joseph, I have some concerns. Because on the one hand, I want him to get some overs on his legs, like I said the last time. And I want him to get overs on his legs for the selfish reason of Australia. That's where my mind is. But we have to remember, though, that this has implications for 2027.
Right? England are 3 points ahead of us right now as it stands.
Which makes the series even more interesting. That's correct. All right? So if we could win the first 2 matches, I would say throw him in the throw in Shamar Joseph on match 3. But going in tomorrow, I can't justify him in the team, even though I want to see him get some goals. Oh, by the way, we were pretty much on point with Ireland 2-1, you know.
Yeah, we would have won that second game.
And I know, Kevin, you said we're winning 2-1 in England.
Yeah, we went into 1 in England. I'm keeping that.
I think I'm pushing towards your point as well. But let's see.
This is what I have for England, right? As this episode is geared towards Keacy Carty mainly, right? I'm going Carty 240 runs for the series. West Indies 2-1. I'm going he 2 half centuries, 2 big half centuries. I would love it. I would if he gets a century, that's a bonus. But I'm going 2 big half centuries.
Evan Lewis for me. Evan Lewis will step up. There's another person that needs to step. He will. Evan Lewis is due 100.
He's due runs, period.
Yeah, period. And
Brandon King. Right? They do runs.
Do you know where Evan Lewis made his highest ODI 100?
In England. Was that 179?
176 not out.
176 not out.
No, here's my concern. But I don't even know if it's such a concern given that he has played in Ireland. So we could say he is pretty much acclimatized by now. Brandon King hasn't played in England. This would be his first ODI setup in England. So I'm hoping, again, just across the pond, he should be fine with the conditions. I see him with the hand warmers and so on from time to time, you know.
Well, he's experienced European conditions before because when the last time West Indies went to the Netherlands and played.
Right.
He had scored 100 out there also. Right,
and the ball is not swinging a whole lot. It's warm.
There's some amount of familiarity. Yeah. But anyways, fellas, it's a good place to wrap this episode up. We all agree that Keacy Carty is finally figured it out, and we can only hope that he takes the confidence into the England series that begins tomorrow. As I said, I'm looking for 240 runs for him in this series, and ultimately West Indies with a 2-1 victory. Any closing thoughts, Sam?
West Indies is family.
Water?
All the time.
West Indies is family. We cricket and we vein. Better believe it. All right. See you guys next time. Great episode, fellas. Looking forward to talking to y'all again.